and certainly an important bit of work to do at the start of this second half, Phil.
Well, the game so far dispels the myth about field position being important. Widnes have had more than twice as many play the balls in their opponent's half than the Halifax side, and yet still find themselves behind. Here's an attempt to do a contested restart. Oh, but they haven't got it back either. But still, maybe greater invention was needed from Widnes in their mindset, and that started here at the beginning of the second half.
But both sides have now attempted the short kick-off. Neither has accomplished it. Therefore, doesn't that slightly blow your argument out of the water?
No, because it was the way that Halifax played in the first half, wanting to contest things, trying the unpredictable, the 40-20 kick that came off and created the try, short kicks through, high kicks. Look at this again, early kick in the tackle and the chase on the back of it.
Hardman, though, kept his eye on the ball. The chasers were there, led by Mark Flanagan, the try scorer at the end of the first half, and that has helped Halifax into this situation.
Unpredictability makes any sport great, and it's what's made the Halifax side the best team to watch and the one that's in front at this point in time.
Halifax have scored 634 points in the National League this season. That's 20 more points than Salford, who finished top. They're the top scorers in National League One, so that shows what they're capable of.
And they are the entertainers, but they do leak some points. Widnes, last time they were here, they scored 24 points in the first half, but the ill-discipline by Widnes, 17-point penalties to 2 as they give the ball away. And there again, a high shot by Mark Smith. We're just 1 minute into the second half.
Well, he was frustrated at having the ball stolen in a one-on-one legitimate tackle, and then you see after this occurs, he then puts his arms high around the shoulders and neck area of Richard Varkulis.
Yeah, frustration from Mark Smith it was, and he immediately apologised. But Halifax have the ball back, so a lively start to this second half. Short kick-off, ball steal, and Halifax have it back. They're ahead on the penalty count, 5-3. Morrison with the tackle, so Widnes with some defending to do early in this second half here, and ground to make up. Here is Ben Black, real live wire, the Australian for this Halifax side, wants some Burleigh Bears in his second spell at the club. Here's Mark Gleeson, his first spell at Halifax, and big influence he's had as well. Lifted the side when he came in. Martin Hall with the healthy snack, alongside Matt Callant. The kick being chased by Flanagan, and will he get a second? He will! And this time there is no doubt about it. And Mark Flanagan tries either side of the half-time whistle, giving Halifax a bigger lead. Well, what a performance from the low knee from the Wigan Warriors. What a kick that was.
Well, they were put in this position because of the ill-discipline, perhaps, and frustration from Mark Smith, the Widnes hooker. He gets up, lost possession, lost his head momentarily, and the penalty here gave them the position here now. The difficult thing about Halifax is knowing where exactly they're going to attack you. Widnes haven't been able to predict that. They haven't been able to cope with the several threats that Halifax show. Short ball, long ball, maybe even to Greenwood, or the kick through for Mark Flanagan to score his second try, with Graham Allroyd adding 2 extra points.
So a very satisfying start to the second half for Halifax, extending their lead to 22 points to 6.
Well, that just shows you about frustration. You've got to compose yourself. When things go against you, that man in your screen, Steve McCormack, I'll be telling you guys, you've got to get straight back into it. You've got to defend that set. Whenever you give the penalty away, it's gone. Get on with it, make your tackles, and try and control that ruck.
Another short kick-off. They might well get this one back. They have done. It's come up for them. Always been a big believer in the short kick-off, me. And it's Gavin Dodd who plays the ball. Here is Morrison, now Widnes looking for an instant response. They need it. This game in danger of getting away from them. Steve McCormack looking pretty calm when we saw him there a moment ago, but he must know that they need to get back soon.
But as well though, Bill, you don't have to score this set. Widnes don't have to score on this set 6. They've got to build pressure. That's something that they need to do. In the first 4 minutes, they've not built any pressure whatsoever.
Here is Tyra, such an impact on his debut for Widnes. Now has that ball been, well, for a moment I thought it was going to be stolen. Patterson protesting his innocence. James Haley. James Haley it is, yeah.
Looked like some Greco-Roman wrestling for the Olympics.
So Widnes now from that penalty in a great position here with Matty Smith, fires it up to Jim Gannon, and Gannon, legs pumping, driven toward that line, but Halifax then driving back where he came from. Morrison, he's going for the line. He's over the line, is he? He's held up just short in the end. So the big guns firing now. They're camped right on that line. Morrison trying to disentangle himself. Bezic fires the ball out wide, and they'll be in here. Dodd gets his try, his second of the night, and they have got the instant response. And that is exactly what the coach wanted. Gavin Dodd finishing off that move, and copybook stuff from the Vikings.
Well, you can see by the number of defenders around the play of the ball that there had to be some spaces out wide on the line. And Bob Bezic was probably the best Widnes player to be given possession from that play. He was the one who had both the eyes and the hands to get the ball to Dodd for that important score. He had to bring the ball a little bit closer to the goalpost, because a 2-point added onto this 4 could be vital here now. This will be a close game when we get to the last 5 minutes.
Well, it was a great pass from Bob Bezic that set up Gavin Dodd for that try, and now then Steve Tyra. This to narrow the gap for the Vikings. Very kickable chance this for the Widnes boot man, and he's on target. 22 points to 12, the scoreline. The gap is closed at just the right time. Gavin Dodd, the try scorer.
Gavin Dodd done very well there to hug his touchline, but Bob Bezic's got great vision. He looks up, knows that the Halifax winger's off his wing, and Gavin Dodd clear run to the line. What you were saying there, Phil, about field position, I personally think that the game is about field position, and that's where if you're in the right part of the pitch, that's where you've got to build your pressure. And it's very hard when you've got to defend your line, when you've got guys running at you, and there's lots of options, different attacking options.
Let's get the half-time news from the sidelines with Ben Pro.
As Terry suggested, composure, the watchword in the Widnes dressing room, but also competition. Steve McCormack wanted his side to compete more for the ball, and that short kick-off that led to the try there from Gavin Dodd, evidence of that. Mark Smith actually took the players together before they came off for half-time, and maybe it was his frustration boiling over that early Halifax try from Mark Flanagan. As for Matt Calland, he wanted his side to improve their ball control and their enthusiasm. He says, we've played a deliberately expansive game all season. There's no reason to change now.
Well, the head and feed given in the end to Halifax there, not to the liking the Widnes supporters.
No, I think quite clearly Stephen Tyra's left hand knocks the ball forward. It's good positioning from the referee. I think, again, another good decision.
So Widnes, though, we're looking to put a bit more pressure on there. It's a good kick.
His left hand knocks the ball forward.
So Halifax have it back. 22 points to 12, they lead. The winners go through in this competition. Losers, it's the end of the season. And at the moment, it's Halifax who have the best chance, but here is Mark Flanagan, 2 tries to his name already for the former Saddleworth Ranger. Penkovic. Farkulis. Eventually brought to ground, that's the 5th tackle. Sluggish play the ball, but eventually it reaches Ben Black, and they're running it, not with any great conviction, but somehow keeping it alive. Then Gleeson puts the kick up the touchline. It's an inviting one, it's a very inviting one, and it pops up in the end for Gavin Dodd. And it's Dodd who brings it away. Penkovic tried, I think, a one-on-one steal there, but just bounced off the tackle.
Well, nice invention on the last play. They kept the ball alive as long as possible. Gleeson kicked the ball into the corner. It was a 50-50 call. Widnes delighted, I think, just that it bounced in their favour. They have probably got the best dummy half runners. He's one of them in the game. And the other winger, Gavin Dodd's the second best. I'm not so sure whether it's the most admirable quality in rugby league, but having a player who can get the ball going forward, his side going forward.
Fletcher finds Hartley. Hartley comes back in field. And Widnes really have bucked up. Whatever was said at half-time has certainly revved them up. Matty Smith, another hoisted kick into the murk above the floodlights. Oh, Gibson's lost it. Got it back in the end, or has he? I think it's come up for the Vikings, and it's 6 to go. It was Gavin Dodd again, and what an influence he's having on this second half. Tyra is just short. Matty Smith. Hardman now. Hardman taking him on himself in the middle of the field. Halifax desperately defending their own line here. Duffy, Fletcher. And Fletcher reversing towards the try line. He is stopped just a couple of metres short. Mark Smith pops the ball out wide to Matty Smith, and Morrison on the charge. And the ball is snaffled by Penkovic. The offload swiped by Sean Penkovic, and Halifax relieved the pressure.
Well, I think the guys in the blue and white jersey were delighted here that Penkovic could get his hands on the ball. They look far more tired. They look tired actually defending their own line this half. Different a little bit in the body language to what we saw in the first half, when they had good control, people covering for one another. But maybe the weight of possession that Widnes have had attacking their opponent's line is starting to pay.
And it's the speed around the ruck we talked about at half-time, with Mark Smith picking up the ball. And when someone lays that platform, guys like Mark Smith can really and do a lot with that, because he's got so much speed. Dean Gaskell, the guy who's getting in now. Paul Noon's added a lot since he's come on as well.
Noon keeps the ball alive. Going through a bit of a madcap phase at the moment. Neither side really guarding possession that closely. But it's Widnes who have it back. John Duffy just at the bottom of your screen there in a bit of trouble. Morrison getting to his feet fairly sluggish. Again, Bezic puts the ball wide, and Tyra will be in this time. And Steve Tyra gets another Widnes try. And the comeback is on for Steve McCormack's side. Looking completely unfazed, the Vikings coach. But his side are doing him proud now. They're doing those supporters proud as well. And Tyra gets his 12th try of the season.
And they've just played with greater zest in the second half. They've moved the ball around a bit more, they've hit the holes, a bit more adventure in attack. And Tyra's showing what potential he has as a player for the next decade in this sport. Nice little pass there from Bezic. And Halifax, well, they've just hit a hole at the moment. It takes a player of great maturity to have game control in a match which has a sudden death element of it. And Halifax, since the half-time hooter, haven't quite shown that. There hasn't been a player in blue and white who's been able to control his and his team's actions.
Well, Tyra can add 2 more points with this conversion attempt, and this one a bit wider out. 100% success rate tonight for the Vikings goal kicker, and that one looks on target, is just drifted away. 22 points to 16 now. Widnes really on a roll.
And that try's come from the knock-on effect of the guys in the middle of the pitch, like some Mark Smith, Dean Gaskell getting in there, getting the ball, running as hard as they can, winning the ruck. And then all of a sudden, the Halifax defenders have got to come tighter to the ruck and try and control the speed of it. So the gaps were obviously on the edges.
Looking concerned, the Halifax coaching duo. Matt Callan, the coach, football manager Martin Hall. And they've rung the changes, Halifax, maybe in response to a bit of flagging forward power out there.
And it looks as if Steve McCormack's given the Widnes players some of those vigorosity tablets at half-time, Bill. They really are a difference.
Always a good idea. Now then, Duffy, I thought he was going to aim for a 40-20 there, but that's straight down the middle of the field. The chase is good though. Bezic is leading it, and Miles Greenwood is under pressure. What a great chase that is. What a chase. Dean Gaskell was there, but it was Bezic who led the way.
Well, it's very hard to beat any team who are prepared to do this, Bill. To kick the ball from their own half, sprint at 100 miles an hour, to get down as quickly as possible, and then make that sort of commitment to trap their opponents in the in-goal zone.
He's got to be pleased with the response from his side in this second half. And they're in possession again. Morrison, blonde locks flowing, thunders into that challenge. Bob Bezic, well, a bit of speculation about Bob Bezic's future. Will he be staying at the Widnes Vikings, or will he be moving on? And the word is that there are one or two interested parties looking at Bezic, and not surprisingly, Matty Smith now. Hardman takes them on himself. 3 tackles gone. Here is Bezic. He's tackled by Danny Heaton. Heaton and Flanagan in there to make the tackle. Matty Smith looking for it, opportunity himself. Well, it was a Smith, it was Mark Smith. Here is Matty Smith. And that's a teasing kick, that really is a wicked kick. Fletcher has it, and Fletcher has another set of 6. 6 to go, says referee Jamie Leahy. There was a Halifax hand in there. It is all Widnes Vikings at the moment, and now they have the penalty. Graham Holroyd, just trying to slow things down there. And you can see the look of concern on Graham Holroyd's face. What pressure is on Halifax now? The dam is creaking, and it could burst completely under this pressure from Widnes now. Fletcher stopped short just a moment ago. Comes close again. Duffy. Matty Smith looking for the gap once more. Desperate defence. Hardman looks left, goes right. Morrison was standing still when he got the ball, and he got the tacklers as well at the same time. Mark Smith, a little breath there. Matty Smith. Paul Noon now runs into a posse of defenders, does get the ball away well there. Hardman, oh, and then it's knocked on. And frustration from Mark Smith, the captain.
But what is the Viking response here now to an error? They have their opponents on the rack. It's been a marauding group of Vikings that have re-entered this field since half-time, and they do have their opponents in trouble here. They look ragged, they look tired, they look directionless at the present, Halifax, and Widnes need to maintain the pressure here now that they don't have the ball.
And of course, you've got Widnes Vikings, a full-time side, up against the largely part-time Halifax team, some of whom have been doing a full day's work today. You've got teachers, joiners, electricians. Ben Black is one of the full-timers. Was there a Widnes hand in there?
Well, it's a correction call here from the touch judge. He's entering the field of play, he thinks the referee's got it wrong, and that's sensible officiating.
I think he's saying that it hit a Widnes hand, and it's Halifax head and feet. Well, you couldn't get it much clearer than that from the referee.
I think it had to be the case. The pass, it just could not have gone so far behind him, could it?
Gavin Dodd's hand. Well, Halifax have the ball back. Gavin Dodd looks bemused by that decision. Here is John Goddard. Goddard brings Lee Patterson into the action, and Patterson goes back the opposite way, looking for a gap in the middle of the field. Patterson. Here's the pass. Oh, yes. Frank Watini looking to lift his Halifax teammates with some direct running. Now then, what have Halifax got? The ball popped up for Danny Heaton, and Heaton plays the ball. Ben Black taking him on himself, looking for his hat-trick, and he's just short of the line. He's over the line. He's held up. What a game we've got here. 22 points to 16 in this elimination playoff. Take it again, says the referee, from the right spot. He does. They go the other direction. And the ball goes into touch. And frustration for Halifax.
Well, it was a difficult option, wasn't it, for Damien Gibson? He had 200 games for Halifax. He's probably had 200 better passes than the one he's received there. Very little option for him to evade Dodd.
Adel Falous is revived and ready to come back and make an impact for Widnes, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he'll be trying to do that. So Widnes with a bit of work to do to get out of their own half now, and Halifax no doubt looking to pin them down there.
And that just goes to show them couple of sets that Halifax had. They looked out on the feet when they were defending their own line. But when you don't defend and you've got the ball, you control the speed of the game. And that's when you control it, you get your energy back. You want to run into that next hole. And when you're defending, it takes a lot out of you.
Here is Fallouse. This time there's a reception committee for him. Led by Danny Heaton. Gaskell, as ever, a willing worker. Reaches the 40-metre line. 4 tackles gone. And Matty Smith maybe thinking that he was in with a chance of a 40-20 there. But it's a good kick nevertheless, and another good chase from Widnes. Putting pressure on Lee Patterson. And Greenwood trying to use his pace to get round the cover. But Tyra there to make the tackle. So was Paul Noon. Gibson goes down under the tackle, looked high, a groan from the Halifax supporters. They thought that one was high. Gareth Morton it was with the tackle just on the field. Fallouse with that one. Holroyd, lazy step, a deceptive little break from Holroyd. Amazing to see those pictures of him on Boots and All last night, making that impact for the Leeds Rhinos 16 years ago. Those 2 tries. Here he is, still going strong, but that, again, inaccurate from Halifax, and the attack comes to the end there, a sticky end.
Well, I guess there's a time when you've got a stick, haven't you? You've got the cards, might not be the best hand, you've got to play the safe option. A low-risk option would be to kick it in the corner. They've had less of possession than their opponents, and they look a little tired, but they need a more conservative approach from Halifax at this point in time.
They're still leading.
But is that a team that's under pressure as well? Because they are used to scoring a lot of points, and they want to score every time they get the ball.
Well, it's very close here last year, with Halifax winning against Widnes 12 points to 6 in the National League. And this one, again, just 6 points in it at the moment, into the final quarter of the game. Bezic, oh, that was a wild pass, and Tyra had to stretch for it, and he's squandered possession, and it's back in the hands of Halifax. Noon with a high shot there, well then interfering. It was Jim Gannon, in fact, the culprit.
Well,
was it high, or was it then this holding down?
It's a little unfortunate for Widnes, isn't it? They game so evenly balanced here now in the final quarter. 6-point lead by the Halifax side.
Widnes Vikings' last win here was in July 2006 by 42 points to 22, another high-scoring game. In fact, the best high-scoring game between these two was 76-34 at the Holton Stadium in Widnes that same season, 2006. Not going to be quite on that scale here tonight, but certainly the entertainment value is there. And it's Halifax in possession now with Frank Watini. Penkovic almost dodged his way through, lost possession, it's come back up for Halifax. They have it back. Black on the inside, the try for Paul Smith. He made that look so simple. And Matt Callan sends down instructions. The Halifax supporters celebrate, and Paul Smith, the maths teacher from Manchester, comes up with his 9th try of the season. He's made one tonight, he's scored one now.
Well, everybody was looking outside, weren't they, for Ben Black? They had a number of options, but that is the most difficult pass in rugby league to make. Against the flow of your body, but to pass the ball backwards is such a difficult art. So often the ball drifts forward and is pulled up by the officials, but Black does this fantastically. Smith times the run perfectly, and it's a vital score, but one that does not win this game yet. A look at the body language of the Widnes players behind the posts. The Halifax coach is happy, the Widnes players look depressed, but they need to lift themselves. They have ample time yet to get back into the match.
But not if Graham Holroyd keeps kicking like that one. Another 2 points from him, 28 points to 16 now, just when Widnes thought they'd maybe got Halifax on the ropes. Facts have come back well, Terry.
That was a clever play by Ben Black. That just a change of tempo in his run. You see, he gets the ball, he goes out, he slows down, waiting for Mark Smith to come to him, and then Paul Smith pops up on the inside. And it is a hard play to pull off, but that was great timing by Paul Smith. There's still lots to play for in this game. I'm sure Widnes will rev up in this next set. They're going to do a short kick-off again.
We've had more short kickoffs in this game than we've probably seen in the entire season in Super League, and Halifax have got that one. It didn't work for Widnes. It's with Shad Royston. Royston, who hasn't got on the score sheet yet tonight. He's got 23 tries this season. He maybe just saw for a moment the chance there, but Widnes are back quickly, and Gibson has lost the ball, and the chance is gone for Halifax.
We've also had more excitement in this game than many of the games we've had this season. Been a wonderful game, rugby league, and as I say, with 12 points, Widnes here now with a penalty for offside. This will go into the last 5 minutes. I'm certain that Widnes have got a score in them. You can see there the Halifax player still in front of the official.
But sometimes when you give penalties away for offside, it's because you can't be bothered getting back that 10 yards. But both of these teams are getting back, and they want to get off the line and get forward for them first 3 steps to make that collision.
The charge was from Marty McLaughlin, keen to make up time after his injury-disrupted season. And Widnes, can they quell this Halifax uprising? Here is Felous. That first half injury not seemingly slowing him down any. Flew in from France to take part in this game. Duffy, first step, got past Penkovic, then Halifax managed to bring him down and he's injured. John Duffy is staying down. Well, we saw him in trouble in the first half, in fact. Not sure if this is related. It's a twist of the knee as he goes down there.
Could be knees or ankles, but he hasn't moved at all, really, since he hit the ground. One suspects that he'll probably have to leave the field here.
I think he's got the old whack to the noggin. I think that's why he's laid down. He's got a stray arm and he's going down into the... He's a tough lad, John Duffy. I'm sure he'll get down. Here you can see there's no malice in it whatsoever.
Is it a knee on the head there?
It was an open-handed right arm slap. I'm sure he's tougher than that, John Duffy. He'll get up with a slap.
Scottish international. There's his coach. Of course, World Cup matters to consider in the next few weeks, but he's hoping that he'll have the playoffs to preoccupy him before then. And of course, he's got this great record. Well, he's contested the last 4 National League One Grand Finals, just hasn't won any of them. How ironic would that be if you get to one and there isn't anything at stake apart from the glory and the trophy? Duffy is going to have to leave the field, as you said.
Well, we hope that John Duffy's okay. But so often in the game of rugby league, when a player has to leave through injury, we get a stoppage of about a minute and a half, and players can often lose the concentration, either the attacking ones or the defensive ones. You have to switch back on here now. You're back at work as soon as the referee blows this whistle, and your concentration and focus has to be back in the present.
But what it also does, Phil, if one of your mates goes off and they're injured, it rallies the troops, doesn't it? And they all want to play for each other, whether it be defence or attack. If one of your mates gets a big shot on them, you want to put another shot on them.
Well, how will they respond here now? They trail by 12 points. They're running out of time. They're running out of troops at the moment. Noon, oh, it opened up for Paul Noon, and they just managed to shut him down. It was on the last, and Paul Noon was so close. He knows it. It was the tackle from Danny Heaton that denied him.
They don't need to worry. They've missed this opportunity, but they're still in the right part of the field. The focus now has to switch immediately to defence. Prevent your opponents from getting out of this zone.
I don't think Paul Noon could believe the opportunity he had there. Ben Black missed the tackle, and just for a moment it looked inviting. Now then, Widnes really fronting up, just trying to keep Halifax down at this end of the field, force the error. Oh, if Flanagan could have got that ball away. He had Penkovic on his shoulder. Big hit. Hooker on hooker there, Mark Smith on Sean Penkovic. And Smith is putting himself around. Holroyd with the kick out on the full, the second time tonight.
We'll give some credit to Mark Smith and Stephen Tyra. They raced into the face of Graham Holroyd. They put him under pressure. Didn't have time to find the right kick. And again, there is a growing momentum now behind the Vikings. 12 points behind, 12 minutes or so to go.
Felous. And that was high on the Frenchman. And Danny Heaton, tough nugget himself, just gives him a pat of apology, and Fallouse just turns and walks away. And he comes back for more. And he gets a bit more as well. This time it's legal. 12 minutes to go it is. 12 points in it, as Phil said. Widnes looking to stay alive in these playoffs. McLaughlin. Sean Penkovic it was with the tackle. Close to that try line now. Here's Matty Smith. Smith for Fallouse. Adel Fallouse for the try line. And has he got that ball down? It went forward. Or it was a double movement, I beg your pardon. He's denied. And he wearily gets to his feet.
I don't need to, but not answer.
Yep.
I don't answer, mate.
Second movement it was from French international Adel Fallouse, on loan from the Catalan Dragons. John Stankovic and Steve McCormack ruining that missed opportunity. So Mark Gleeson is back in place of Damien Gibson to freshen up this Halifax side for the closing minutes of this elimination playoff here. These two sides have great motivation going into this game. Of course, both denied a Super League licence, both feeling hard done by that, and what better way to answer it than to get to the grand final and win the grand final as well. Of course, Salford and Celtic Crusaders, Whitehaven and Lee have their own thoughts on that matter. They're still to come, those games. Danny Heaton. And Halifax must be sensing that the game is beginning to look good for them. Hardman bravely letting that one run.
Well, he would have much preferred that to find the sideline and the dead in goal. What's the clock to stop? The referee's made them go back to start the restart in the middle of the field.
On the mark.
Now he's waiting for some of his teammates
Except
to
there
be
isn't
back
a mark.
onside.
And there should be a mark.
Well, they've got there in the end, haven't they? It's slowed things down
that is
a little
ridiculous
bit.
that it's taken 3 attempts to find the right spot. More evidence.
Well, we'll get a little white line perhaps put in the centre of that. It might work, wouldn't it? Helps the officials, helps the supporters, and helps the players find that for that quick restart.
Gaskell. Widnes now have work to do, and it's not going to happen for them that way. They've lost possession again.
Hold the line, hold.
Of course, they started the season minus 9 points. With those 9 points, as Sean McRae observed last night, would have finished in third place in the table. Another knock-on, this time from Halifax.
And that's what I say, when you're defending's 50% of the game, and it's an attacking play. Mark Smith gets out and just puts so much pressure on Shad Royston there that he loses the ball. But both of these sides have played entertaining rugby league. They've really took it to each other, especially this second half. They've tried to exploit any weakness that they can find, both in defence and attack. And they just seem to be running with so much vim and vigour in this second half, both sets of players.
Christine is back on for the Widnes Vikings. Plays that ball. The right forearm strapped for Dean. You can just see him at the bottom of the picture there. That's the problem for him. McLaughlin was the dummy runner. It's with Matty Smith, the former Everton trainee. As a schoolboy, he trained alongside the likes of Wayne Rooney. They've gone very different paths, that's for sure. And Matty Smith still an Evertonian, but his cause is Widnes tonight, and the cause not helped by that error.
Well, it was a little bit hit and halt, wasn't it? Tyra threw the ball out to Dean. None of them really knew exactly what they were trying to achieve, and for that reason I think the ball went to ground.
So Halifax with this 28 points to 16 lead, and under 8 minutes now to conserve it. Denied by the Widnes Vikings last year in the final stages of the playoffs. They were just 80 minutes from going to the grand final, and Widnes beat them in that game. Well, they're going to get their revenge tonight if they can hold on to this lead. Here is Danny Heaton, big presence off the bench. against his former club, and the penalty goes in favour of Halifax, and another 2 points surely. Graham Holroyd, all smiles.
Well, the speed of the play of the ball. Martin McLaughlin wasn't back, stood in front of the man playing the ball. Marker's not square is the official ruling, and it should give Halifax an opportunity to get that vital 14-point gap. 3-score lead here now with 7 minutes to go would probably be a game breaker.
But just sticking up for guys who defended Martin McLaughlin, when you've defended a couple of times there and someone gets out from dummy half and gets at you again, your first instinct is to tackle him. You don't let him get on the outside unless the referee's calling you offside. So it's quite a difficult one to know, especially when you're tired and there's 73 minutes of the game gone. It was just a good play and a good decisive run from dummy half from Halifax.
Not a bad double act that, Matt Callan and Martin Hall. As you saw, Matt Callan succeeding Martin Hall. Still work alongside each other and masterminded this season that is still alive. Holroyd's 2 points will help to ensure that. 30 points to 16, the scoreline. The Fax supporters are celebrating. They haven't had an awful lot to celebrate in recent years. We're sitting up here in this stand that remarkably is actually going to be finished now. It's been sitting like this for about 8 years, and they now have, in conjunction with the Calderdale Council, the go-ahead to finish the work. But there's work to be finished on the field here for Halifax. There's still work for Widnes to do, but it's looking remote now for the Vikings.
Halifax have earned a reputation of the entertainers of this division. Well, the entertainers with one more spectacular try. Graham Holroyd directing the side towards the middle of the field here. They've split now. They've got two options: attack to the left or the right.
Big Frank takes some stopping, and eventually they do stop him. Here is Flanagan. That's a wild pass out of the back door, but he's made a big contribution, has young Mark Flanagan. Just 20 years old, and he's got 2 tries tonight. Holroyd, other end of the spectrum, other end of the career, hoists the kick. Oh! Shad Royston hoping he was going to get, well, he might yet get the try. I think he's knocked that one on, but Royston chasing that kick from Holroyd. And did anybody get the ball down, or was he onside?
Well, was he or his teammate in front of the kicker? Quite sure on that first viewing. I think there's probably a knock-on end there anyway. But Graham Holroyd very cleverly changes the point of attack. Hard to guess if you're a Widnes defender where the kick's going to come. I think they've decided he's onside. Does he knock on? I think he probably does. It certainly comes off his body. Does it hit his right arm?
It's gone straight down.
Thigh. Now then, on the next bounce, does it hit the arm as it comes up?
Yes.
The knock-on at least one anyway. It's a knock-on in goal. Tap on the 20-metre, which most of the Widnes players seem to have predicted.
The Halifax players, I think, accepting it as well, because they're lined up as well. Shad Royston hoping for try number 24 this season. He's going to be denied, that's for sure. Jamie Lee, he had to have a look at it.
No try.
And it will be a tap on the 20, but worth chasing. And he might well have been awarded that had he managed to just get a hold of it and get some downward pressure on it.
Wait for the position. Wait.
And Jamie Lee, he just asking them to retake that tap on the 20.
Wait, I'm in position. Are you ready?
From the right place. And they do in the end. And Fallouse doesn't make much progress with that. And so under 5 minutes to go now, Halifax are going to progress in the National League One playoffs. It's going to be the end of the season for the Widnes Vikings, and a frustrating end to a frustrating season for them, really. Steve McCormack looking ruefully on there. They've worked hard, and that certainly period at the second half when it looked as though they were getting a grip on the game. But Halifax have come back well. Goddard reclaiming that ball from the chip ahead from Matty Smith. Patterson, able to scramble a few more yards. Here is Greenwood. Greenwood loses his footing. Morton finishes off the tackle. Lee against Whitehaven still to come, and next week Salford against the Celtic Crusaders. But Halifax already in the mix. Penkovic going without it. And I think the most pleasing thing for Matt Callan, the Halifax coach tonight, will be the fact that they have tightened up on this notably porous defence.
They have, and they've been very strong, particularly in the first half on their own line. They've set a standard too here for Lee and Whitehaven. I think it's the last ever game, isn't it, at Hilton Park on Sunday. What a standard they've set here now for National League One playoff.
He's not done a bad job in his first season, has he, Matt Callan? Martin McLaughlin, not surprisingly, just his second game back. Just needing a bit of a breather. For Widnes, game as ever, keeping the ball alive. Next Thursday then, another one of these playoff games to come, the big one between the top two, Salford City Reds against the Celtic Crusaders. Next Thursday, 7:30 on Sky Sports Extra. That was a high tackle. They were offside. The penalty goes against Halifax. But surely now it's too late for the Widnes Vikings. The kick to the corner will take them right inside the danger area. If they're going to do something about it, it needs to be soon, and Morton hoping to do that. He was just short of the try line there. The big Scotsman wrestling himself free. The pass is boomed out wide to Matty Smith, and Penkovic is all over him. And that sums up the Halifax effort here tonight. There was a phase in the game when they looked out on their feet, and it looked as though Widnes were on top. They've come back well, and Steve McCormack, well, he's signed on for another season, but he knows this season is coming to an unhappy end. And it was Bob Bezic, who's been an outstanding performer, who contributed to that.
Played against a very good team here tonight, and ultimately weren't competitive enough in the first half, physically and mentally and skillfully, tactically. The Halifax side had the edge on them, and had a significant lead enough to go on and win.
Well, Halifax, this is their third game against Widnes this season, and they've won two of them. Well, I'm saying they've won two of them. They've got still a couple of minutes to go here, but it looks very good for them. And they've got the draw as well, so they've been a bit of a bogey side for Widnes, and they could get further points here, as throwing it around with great abandon in the closing minutes, looking for more points, and they could have them. Hardman eventually pushing that one dead.
Well, any team that has to play against Halifax have had an indication here tonight of what they'll have to cope with. A variety of attacking threats. It's a quick restart by Widnes, but in fact some of the players were offside in front of the kick before it was taken, and the referee then rightfully penalises Widnes. Some of the black jerseys hadn't got back behind the try line, and I imagine Halifax will take the time to kick at goal.
Matty Smith looking frustrated and exasperated.
Difficult from that angle to see which of the Widnes players went back on side, but whichever one, the penalty is awarded directly in front of the goalposts.
And Halifax can look forward to another home game in the playoffs, and they will be tough to beat on their own park. Lee or Whitehaven, of course, the prospective opponents. Graham Holroyd with 2 more points. He's broken the club goals in a season record this evening, and he's contributed to this victory, which has seen Matt Callan's side triumph by 32 points to 16 in the end. And frustration and disappointment for the Widnes Vikings and for their coach Steve McCormack. A game of such significance, played with great spirit as well. There were penalties, but there was no malice. It was well officiated, and great sportsmanship on show here tonight, given what was at stake. And it's Halifax who are celebrating, and it'll be a particularly enjoyable triumph for the hometown boy, Graham Holroyd, who's with Ben.
Graham, your hometown club, how important was it to dismiss Widnes tonight? They've put up a huge challenge to you.
Oh yeah, big defence, I think, won us the game, and we took our opportunity as well. I thought Ben Black was sensational tonight, but you know, big raps to the forwards as well. But you know, we're through to the next round. We've not won anything yet, and we'll just see who we play next week.
Was the key the fact that you were prepared to play a more expansive game of rugby league tonight?
Oh yeah, I mean, we have an old bad attitude to our attack, but you know, in defence we've been a bit leaky all year, and I think tonight, you know, we've shown that we can really defend and work for one another, and hopefully we can carry it on.
And a big night for you personally, a new points record for the club, and 10 years on from a Super League Grand Final appearance. Are you thinking about a National League One Grand Final?
Well, just, you know, I want to thank all the lads as well, you know, and all the club and that for how they've helped me out, and you know, hopefully we can, you know, we can get there, and you know, it'll be a fitting thing, you know, for all the lads who've trained hard all year, and just thanks a lot.
Thanks very much, Graham. Bring in Matt Callan, the victorious Halifax coach. Matt, I think you said before the game when we had a little chat privately that you trained the best you've trained all season for this. There was a little bit more intensity tonight, and you stepped up to the mark, didn't you?
Oh, we certainly did that tonight. I'm so proud to be coach of our team. You know, we're part-time. Some of the lads have been working on building sites. Some have been stood up all day teaching in schools, playing against a full-time team, you know, like Widnes. I thought we were absolutely outstanding tonight. And we only ran at 50% and still scored 32 points, so what a performance. Just so proud to be an Halifax coach tonight.
And watertight at the back as well against one of the best attacks in the competition.
Yeah, I thought we worked for the last 2 weeks on our defence. I thought we stood up pretty well tonight.
And as for what happens next, of course, Whitehaven and Leigh still to face each other this weekend. This is the first step on the road to the grand final, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah, and we'll just take each game as it comes. Whitehaven and Leigh are both, you know, really good sides. Whitehaven have beat us at their ground. We beat Leigh twice. We'll just have to see who wins on Sunday.
Thanks very much, Matt. Let's bring in the Widnes Vikings coach, Steve McCormack. Steve, obviously disappointed. Was it a case that Halifax just played a little bit too much rugby league for you today?
I thought Halifax have had a real good season, and we just weren't quite good enough. I think that's the playing facts about it. We had a lot of possession. Halifax defended their goal line very, very well, and obviously, you know, the way they've played all year, they can score points as well. So, you know, very proud of what the club's done this year. You know, we've not obviously, you know, progressed into the grand final or further in these playoffs, but we've come through a lot, and we'll be stronger for that.
But of course, with that 9-point deduction before the season started, an achievement just to get into the playoffs, but of course finishing 6th means you have to come to places like this, and that's tough.
Yeah, correct. You know, a lot's been made about the 9 points, but you know, that the 9 points, that's where we started, and you know, I am very proud of not only the players but the supporters as well. You know, we've had some ups and downs this year, and you look at them behind there, they're just clapping the players off, and you know, they've seen us with some good times, some poor times this year, but you know, the town of Widnes will come back stronger, and you know, I'd like to publicly thank the supporters for sticking by us this year.
Thanks very much, Steve.
Thank you.